Hello, BookTube, and I'm here with a book haul, a mail haul, two different mail hauls. One actually came yesterday. I wasn't aware. It came from Amazon, and thankfully somebody in the house took it in, and it was downstairs when I was waiting. And we'll start with that one. And that is Fractal Noise by Christopher Paolini. I don't know the correct pronunciation. And this was actually, according to Amazon, released yesterday when I received it. And it was sent from a great subscriber, Freeman, who has purchased several books for me. And the gift note says, "Good buzz about this book. Will Shawn like it? Enjoy," from Freeman. And yeah, I've not read anything by him. I'm aware of his Aragon series, and this appears to be a prequel to The Sleep in a Sea of Stars. I'll read the front flap here. On the planet Talos 7, an anomaly is detected, a vast circular pit 50 kilometers wide with dimensions so perfect that it must have been designed. But who could have built it? More importantly, why? A hand-picked team of scientists is assembled to find answers. They must land on the uninhabited planet, then journey on foot across the surface, all driven by their own internal demons. For one explorer, the mission is the opportunity of a lifetime. For another, a risk not worth taking. For xenobiologist Alex Crichton, it's a desperate attempt to find meaning in an uncaring universe. The small team finds itself on a hazardous trek to the very edge of existence. Every step towards the mysterious abyss more punishing than the last, and the ghosts of their pasts follow. It's your typical, you know, setup where people are going on a journey and they all have, different reasons to be there. They have demons, and all this stuff comes out while the journey goes on. But I do like that gimmick. And I like a journey type thing, and I do like it. So I'm looking forward to this, and it looks pretty cool. Like the cover looks kind of cool as well. I guess the only hope is I'm hoping it's not so good that I want to read everything else that he wrote. Good, but not that good, because I have too much to read. The other package came, which was very nice. It was a friend that I spoke to on the weekend. She'd been watching my science fiction little vignette or videos that I've been doing, and she was a journalist here in the town where I live. I got to know her, and then she moved away and sort of hit it big time, and is sort of freelance journalist now, but has a lot of colleagues. And one of her colleagues was talking about the sort of proto science fiction, as I've mentioned, or earlier science fiction, and had some review copies of a new series that was coming out by, or has come out by, a publisher, and wrote something on this early science fiction. And he gave her, because she told him about me, and he gave her a bunch of books that he'd used for his article review, or I'm not sure what he was actually doing, but anyway, we'll go through the paperbacks, which I think are review copies of the MIT Press. Now they've started a series of early science fiction, sort of early 20th century science fiction, and they call it. Let me see here, because one of them. Let me get the proper title. Radium Age. I think it's just called the Radium Age Science Fiction. And I'll just go through them, because there's some that I don't even know. I've not heard of. Here's Voices from the Radium Age. I kind of like the colors. They sort of really work for this. Edited and introduced by Joshua Glenn. Let's see who's in here. Sultana's Dream, 1905. Rokeya Sakawat Hossein. The Voice in the Night, 1907. William Hope Hodgson. The Machine Stops, E.M. Forster. The Horror of the Heights, 1913, Arthur Conan Doyle. The Red One, 1918, Jack London. The Comet, 1920, W.E.B. Du Bois. The Jameson Satellite, 1931, Neil R. Jones. That'll be interesting for Matt at Science Fiction Reads. He's been reading the Neil R. Jones, Professor Jameson stories, and they are fun. They are fun. So some of those I know, not all, but some of them I know. Here's what I don't know. Theodore Savage by Cecily Hamilton. Introduction by Susan R. Grazel. A sort of weird, almost cartoonish cover. When war breaks out in Europe, British civilization collapses overnight. The ironically named protagonist, Theodore Savage, must learn to survive by his wits in a new Britain. When we first meet Savage, he is a complicated civil servant, primarily concerned with romancing his girlfriend, a pioneering feminist. Hamilton offers a warning about the degraded state of modern women, who, being, quote, unhandy, unresourceful, superficial, would suffer a particularly sad fate in the post-apocalyptic social order. And this was originally written. Does it tell me? The author lived from 1872 to 1952. 1922. It's the edition of Theodore Savage follows the text of the 1922 edition published by Leonard Parsons Limited. Yeah, that one I don't know. This one I've heard of. I think I have. Well, I know the author. I've heard of the author. Nordenholtz Million. J.J. Connington. Introduction by Matthew Battles. Afterward by Evan Hepler Smith. And it's a bit of a longer one. And the back here says a denitrifying bacteria imicable to plant growth spread around the world. Sorry, this is not written correctly. They missed an S there. Growth spreads around the world, threatening to wipe out humankind. Nordenholtz sets himself up as a benign dictator of a ruthlessly efficient, entirely undemocratic survivalist colony established in Scotland's Clyde Valley. Discovering just how far their employer is willing to go in his effort to spare 1 million lives. Jack Flint, the colony's director of operations, and Elsa Huntingtower, Norden's personal assistant, are forced to grapple with the question of whether a noble end justify dastardly means. That doesn't sound familiar, but I know the author's name. Ooh, there's a list here of the books so far in the Radium Age, what it's called, the Radium Age book series. This was originally published in 1923 by Constable and Company. So there you go. There's that one. This one is kind of cool. The Clockwork Man by E.V. Audley. Introduction by Annalee Newitz. Now, this is a sort of the first, or one of the first, sort of robot type books. Like it's well, sort of. In 1920s England, a strange being crashes a village cricket game. After some glitchy, jerky attempts to communicate, this creature reveals that he is a machine-enhanced human from a multiverse thousands of years in the future. The mechanism implanted in his skull has malfunctioned, sending him tumbling through time onto the green grass of the cricket field. Apparently, in the future, at the behest of fed-up women, all men will be controlled by an embedded clockwork camouflaged with hats and wigs. Published in 1923, The Clockwork Man is the first cyborg novel, tells the story of this odd time traveler's visit. So it's first cyborg, so yeah. That's interesting. A World of Women, J.D. Beresford. He's was a popular author at the time. Introduction by Astra Taylor. Again, cool covers. Imagine a plague that brings society to a standstill by killing off most of the men on Earth. The few men who survived descended into lechery and atavism. Meanwhile, a group of women, accompanied by one virtuous male survivor, leave the wreckage of London to start again, establishing a communally run agrarian outpost. This is the bleak world imagined in 1913 by English writer J.D. Beresford, one that has particular resonance for the planet's residents in the 2020s. This edition of A World of Women offers 21st century readers a new look at a neglected classic. Now, that's sort of, I don't know if anybody's familiar with Frank Herbert's The White Plague. It was an engineered plague to kill off, kill off all women. So, yeah. So that looks interesting as well. It's a little bigger. It's almost 300 pages. One Blood, Pauline Hopkins. Introduction by Minister Faust. Okay. Interesting cover again. Long before Marvel Comics gave us Black Panther and Wakanda, a high-tech African country that has never been colonized, this 1903 novel gave readers Ruel Brigg, a white-passing, mixed-race Harvard medical student who stumbles upon Talisar in his long-hidden Ethiopian city, whose wise and peaceful inhabitants possess both advanced technologies and mystical powers. Ruel discovers the incredible secret of his own birth. Now he must decide whether to return to the life he's built and the woman he loves back in America, or play a role in helping Telstar take its rightful place in the world stage. Considering one of the earliest articulations of black internationalism, Of One Blood takes as its theme the notion that race is a social construct perpetuated by racists. Okay, I've never heard of this one. This was 1902, published by the Colored American magazine. It's in the public domain. Yeah, don't know that. Okay, now these are very interesting as well. Those are interesting. Like, there's a list in here. It looks like I've got most of them. There might be a few that I don't have yet. So it's an interesting series. But now to the hardcovers. This is really cool. It's a little rough around the edges. It probably needs some glue there to sort of, help with the flaking. Looking Backward by Edward Bellamy. I mentioned this in one of my videos, but this is a 3/4 leather edition from at least 1891. There is an inscription in there dated 1891. It's the 19th printing, I think. Yeah, the 19th edition by William Reeves, Fleet Street. And this is a, well, it's a time travel novel, but it was hugely popular at the time. It sold in the gazillions of copies. That's a technical term. So yeah, so I've never had a copy of that here. I read it many years ago. So this is really cool. This one is really nice. I don't know the exact date on it. There's an inscription in it, but let's see if we can see. Yeah, The Crystal City Under the Sea by Andre Laurie. It's translation from the French. It was originally, oh geez, I'm not sure when it was written. See, I didn't look any of this stuff up. It's just I know it. There's an inscription from 1942 in here. And oh, so it's got to be, it's pre 1928. That's for sure. So it's really nice. Like you can see the embossed and colored scene there. It's basically, if I remember right, it's an underwater city. It's an underwater city. I think that there are Atlanteans that have been hiding out under the water. It's like a Lost World type story. So that's really cool. This one. I knew this one was coming because this was mentioned. The Martian by George. Look at that cover. George du Maurier. That's Daphne du Maurier's grandfather. This, I believe, is his final novel. And there's an inscription from 1896 with some water damage on there. Heck, it could almost be my surname there. Yeah, other books with Trilby, Peter Ibbotson, English Society, Social Pictorial Satire. This is 1898, so this could be a first printing. It's around that time it was published in the late 1800s. It's called The Martian. If I didn't say that, as it says there, The Martian. It is set. Well, it's modern day, but if I remember right, it's got to do with a Martian who's a therapist or a psychologist of some sort. That the main character, finds out that she's from Mars. It's a weird story, but again, it's the proto science fiction, so it's really cool. This one is really, really neat. Now, this is a combination of two things. You remember I talked about parallel worlds in one of my videos. This is Upsidonia by Archibald Marshall. It's hard to see that, isn't it? Yeah, Upsidonia. By Archibald Marshall. This is second edition, 1915. That's about the time that it was published. And it is a parallel world, but also a lost world in a sense, but in inner Earth world as well. That's really, really cool. But that's not all. That's all the science fiction related stuff. Now, something I thought this was something that she had for a long time, but she saw these in a charity shop, and they're old book club editions, but they have wonderful jackets on. All the authors I'm aware of: Philip Gibbs, The Cloud Above the Green. See, look at that jacket. It's tarnished a little on the spine, but it's all there. It's got to be 1950s. Philip Gibbs was a very popular writer in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, probably. Oh yeah, wow, yeah. Look at the list of his books there. This is the book club. It doesn't give me a date, but it's got to be 50s, maybe 60s. But that's just a wonderful, and that's not all. We got A.J. Cronin, which I do like as a writer. I don't think I've read this one, Beyond This Place, but look at the jacket. It's, again, the spine's a bit darkened, but they're just beautiful. They are book club editions, yeah, but published by Golan's. I guess it was 12 shillings and sixpence. Like, they're just in perfect shape. They've probably never been read. They still seem tight. A.J. Cronin's mostly famous for Keys to the Kingdom and The Citadel. I don't think I've read this one. See, it says 1950, 1953. So that makes sense that these are 1950s. But wow, well, look at the jacket on these. There's two more. This one's a bit rougher around the head and heel spine. I'm out of my dust jacket protectors, but these definitely will go into dust jacket protectors. Monica Dickens, Joy and Josephine. This edition, 1949. Look at that jacket. Like I say, just a little bit of roughness at the head and heel of the spine. But just beautiful. I don't know this one at all. It doesn't tell me anything. I don't know what it's about. I've read some of Monica Dickens, but not this one as far as I know. And the last one, well, it is science fiction. I believe so, if I remember right. Star of El Omen by Dennis Wheatley. Again, head and heel spine's a little rough and a little bit of flaking around the edges. It's a book club edition, but this one actually, oh no, it's not cloth. I thought one of them were. Well, anyway, book club, there's no date on this. So it says, for Freddie and Betty, who first intrigued me with the mystery of flying saucers, with love from Dennis. Yeah. I think, yeah, this is a flying saucer type thing, and that Freddie and Betty, I think he's referring to the couple who stated in the 40s or 50s that they were taken by aliens in a spaceship. It was a big story and lots of stuff written about it. But no, these are just wonderful jackets. Just beautiful. Gotta show them again. Anyway, thank you very much from both of you. And Freeman, I'll get to the, what's it called? Fractal Noise as soon as I can, but it won't be, I don't think, immediately. Unless I really get an urge to do it, because I am starting to read a little more now and feeling a little better. So, knock on wood, that continues. Thank you very much, and I'll talk to you soon.